All right, we've come to the part. Yeah, I have all my 9mm brass in different stages. Well, these two are basically the same, but this is a little bit better brass. This is more fired. But they've all been cleaned in the tumbler. They've all been full length resized, and they've all been belled. This stuff just came out of the tumbler, and that's it. So they're only cleaned. What I'm going to do next is give you an example of how to put primers in these guys, which would be the next step for them. So they've been full length resized, they're belled, they have that little bit of belling on here, and now they're ready for a primer. Now I could, I guess if I wanted to, clean out these pocket primers right here, and I would do that by going to my machine here, and I can turn this on. And then I would put my in here and clean that out with the right size, and that would clean out those pockets so that there's nothing in them. I've never done it with pistol ammo. I guess you could if you want to be super fanatic about it, and that's great. I have no problem with anybody doing this stuff, but I've always reloaded simply to enjoy shooting. And reloading becomes, for me, a chore. I don't have the time. I work, over 40 hours a week. I drive almost 10 hours a week just to get to work. So for me to take care of the house I'm living in and the grounds and the animals and all that, I've come to the conclusion where if I can't enjoy shooting, I'm not going to do it. And I could go out and spend a lot of money on ammunition, but this is the most economical way to do it. And you can see brass, most of this stuff I found. So if you buy the components, and that's relatively cheap at times, it was a lot cheaper before Obama got in, but now it's still relatively cheap compared to buying ammunition. So you see I have small pistol primers, and they come in rows. So what I'll do is I'll only put a couple rows in this Lee priming tool. You can see them. You put them in there and you shake it around, and they all come where the cup is facing up to go into the bottom of the primer. So right now I have one ready to go, and what all you have to do is squeeze this and one will go in there. Now I pressed nice and firm. Okay, let go, and now this should come out. I'm doing this all one-handed, so you can see. But there's my primer in there. It's been seated all the way. It's nice and, it's been flush or better, slightly inside. And so now that primer is ready to go for the next stage, would be powder. And I'll go through all these. I have I'll load up 50 at a time maybe, or whatever, because most of the time some of your case, when you're ready to go, you'll take these guys and you'll load them in here like that, and you'll set them up so that you can put powder and charge them. But that's the next process, and I won't get too far ahead of myself. But I have a number of powders, and generally speaking, this stuff here, this stuff, and behind that is 231, which I really like. Most of these powders don't take very much to fill up a small case like this. Maybe a couple, 4 grains, 5 grains. It's not much. I'll put the powder in this thrower. I'll put the powder in that thrower. Set this up properly. Put my cases underneath here like this. Hold them underneath there. And then every time I go like this, a certain amount will come through that chute into the mouth of the case. And it's, I'll measure it out. I have a digital scale here. I have a beam scale, which I hardly ever use, but I use a digital scale. I make sure that I'm pretty darn accurate. It might be off by 1/10 of a grain, but if you're not loading hot, it'll be fine. The bullets will come out fine. And then I'll place each powdered charge in my case, and I'll do a whole row of them. And then I'll check the measurements maybe every fifth one, just to make sure it's holding charge and I'm not overdone. And then when I'm all done, I'll come over and I'll look inside, and I'll make sure that there isn't like too low of a mount or too high of a mount. And I'll just go through each one to make sure that they're all charged the same. And if they all look about the same, then I know that I'm ready for the next step, which is putting the bullet actually inside the case. But that's next time. So I will now go through all of these cases, and you can see the next one there is ready to go. They just fall in line if you hold it right. And this thing is old. You can tell by the plastic. It turned yellow. But you need a set of these guys, and they have different shell holders for different size brass, and you just slide those suckers inside there, and that's how you get all your different ones. And you can see by the back of the case here, there's a whole list of different bullets. I don't know if you can see it or not, but you can see that, you know, here's all the pistol ones on the far right. And then you just use the corresponding correct shell holder to put inside your machine here, this small handheld device. And that's how you prime them. That's pretty simple, actually. You can go through them pretty fast, but I only like to put maybe 20 primers in at a time, just in case there's an explosion that something might happen. It hasn't happened yet, luckily, but it's something to consider anyway when you're doing it. So I'll go ahead now and just load up all these guys and put them on the side like I've done with all the other ones. Thanks for watching. And this is 9mm, but basically the technique is the same between this and rifle. I mean, if this is with using a single stage press. I have this very small one as a partner press, and it's you know, you could probably get these guys on eBay for under $100. I don't know. And then I have, of course, over here I have a bigger one. This is a rock chucker. This is more of a heavy duty guy. This is the set you back a couple $100 probably. But once you buy this small amounts of equipment, and I have dies up here for all the different bullets that I reload for. And once you buy these things, you put them inside every one of these presses. You know, this one right now is empty because I just took it out, the belling one out. And then the shell holders, you have to buy the corresponding shell holders that slide in here. But once you have this stuff and it's all set up, you can just make bullets, you know, pretty inexpensively. And some people really get into it and enjoy the whole facet of making something like that. It's a hobby. I like it, but I don't want to get that deeply into the woods or weeds because I don't have the time. But thanks for watching.